Whoa, does your squat kind of look like you're doing the I've been in a long car ride and I got to go to the bathroom dance? Or maybe you see it on some of your single leg squats or your split squats. Yes, folks, I'm talking about your knee caving in. And that's something we may not want to be seeing with a lot of these moves. But don't worry, your boy, Dr. Zach Couples with Elevate Sports Performance and Healthcare has a solution for you. First off, you might be wondering, Zach, what the heck is going on and why does my knee collapse like that? Well, I'm glad you asked. The technical term of that is called Valgus Collapse. It's basically a fancy way of saying my knee's caving in as I perform an activity. Now that can be an undesirable thing for a few different reasons. One, when I collapse in like this, it might put a little bit more pressure and strain on your knees when you're doing some of your single leg exercises. That's one. Two, if you're doing that a bunch at high speeds, that's also a common position for several knee injuries, whether it's an MCL strain, the ligament on the side of your knee, or even an ACL tear. A lot of times those happen when that force is imparted on the knees. Now, I want to be clear and not scare you. It's not bad if you hit this from time to time, but if that's your only option, that can potentially be a problem. And then the last thing is when you're in this position on your squats, you're not going to be loading your quads and your glutes as effectively as you could. So for those three reasons, it's imperative to try to figure out ways to make sure that your knee can stay centered when you're doing things like squatting or split squatting. Now, it's not always as simple as, okay, well, I have a tendency to Elvis Presley inward. I'm just going to push my knees out and life will be good. No, we got to dig a little bit deeper than that. We have to ask ourselves, why is it that my knee is caving in like that? And oftentimes the reason is because of hip and thorax or torso positioning. If I am someone who, when I do a squat or even a jump, if I stick my butt out like I'm J-Lo or Jennifer Lopez, or I shoot my hips way back, what that does is that changes the orientation of your leg bones to where they point inward. And so you can push your knees out until you're blue in the face, but in reality, what you have to be able to do is get your hips to tuck underneath you when you're performing a lot of these activities, and exhale to drop the lower rib cage down. And what that will do is that will allow you to get your hips better underneath you, and it's going to increase the movement freedom that's going to be available at your hips so you can keep the knees centered over your feet. So what we want to do to encourage that is we want to incorporate some reaching activities to help us get into what I like to affectionately call that stacked position. And in order to achieve that stacked position, I'm going to grab a dumbbell. Yes, I'm that good. So what you want to do when you got a dumbbell, maybe you're doing a goblet squat or reverse lunge or anything like that, is you want to try this cue to see if it can help you get that tucked position. So let's go with the goblet squat for giggles and kicks. You got your weight. The first thing you want to do is you just don't want to hold this. You want to use this to your advantage to help you shift your weight backwards. If you shift your weight backwards, it's going to increase the load through the hips, less stress on the knees, life will be good. So what you want to do is you want to reach your arms forward, and as you do that, your body is going to lean back like this. So I'm going to shift my whole body backwards, not just my upper half, which is very common. I also don't want to shoot my lower half only either. Whole body goes back. That's step one. Once you're here, you're going to work on tucking. So I want you to curl your butt underneath you and relax. Curl your butt underneath you and relax. Think someone grabbed you by the back pockets on your pants and is pulling them down towards your heels, like so. So you can just work that position to start. A lot of times people will over-exaggerate this, they'll over-tuck, and they'll give you an aggressive pow, like that, or they'll shove the hips forward. We don't want that. You want everything staying atop one another, and you want to get a nice, subtle, easy, effortless tuck. Once you got that positioning right there, you're then going to let out a nice, big, slow, long, drawn out exhale. Get it all out. That's going to bring the lower rib cage down, and you'll feel a little bit of ab tension. And then what you want to do as you're squatting or split squatting or anything like that nature, you want to think about pushing your knees forward and dropping your rear straight down. You want to do this at the same time as you descend down. So I'm going to push my knees forward and squat down, dropping my butt towards my heels. Like that. and up. And you can see from the front, when I do this, my knees shoot straight over my feet, which is a good thing because now I'm loading my quads, feeling my glutes doing the work, and my knees got no problems. If I don't emphasize that, it's a lot easier. So you can see if I kind of exaggerate, it's a lot easier for me to have my knees collapse inward. Now, if you've done that and you still got a little bit of an issue keeping the knees centered over the foot, the next thing you can try is twisting your knee into position. So believe it or not, it's actually normal for your knee to twist as you bend and straighten, even though it looks like I'm hinging. So we want to oftentimes try and restore that rotational action at the knee. It's a little bit easier if you do it in a split stance position or with a split squat. So if I want to work on the twisting action of my left leg, I'm going to set up in that goblet position. I'm going to do my same tuck, exhale. And then what you want to do is you want to press your foot in so your weight's on your inside heel and your arch. And then, keeping that position, I'm going to twist my knee back to the center. And if you might actually feel your glute tense up in this position. I know I do. And I'm going to try to maintain that as I do the same mechanics as I did on the squat. I'm going to push the knee forward, drop the rear straight down, and you can see my knee easily stays centered over my foot. Same thing here. So tuck, exhale, trust fall back. I'm going to get the twist and go straight down, straight up. And I'm going to have massive quads and glutes, and my knee is going to feel amazing. So to summarize, folks, big keys. You don't want the knees caving in a bunch because it can put a little bit of strain on the knees. Your solution is to get a tuck of the hips, exhale the lower rib cage, and if you need to, flatten the foot, twist the knee out. If you do that, you ought to minimize valgus collapse. You're going to feel your legs work way better, and you're probably going to perform a lot faster and more explosive than you ever did before. If you have any questions for myself, or you need the help of this doc or another doc that we have on staff at Elevate Sports Performance and Healthcare, check us out on the web at elevatesph.com or give us a call at 702-558-2151. Peace.